The scent of roses clung to the air, a sickly sweet counterpoint to the grim business concluded within Thorne's study. Jedediah watched as two deputies led Elias Thorne, flanked by a sour-faced Blackwood, away toward the makeshift jailhouse. The Arizona sun beat down on the manicured lawn of Thorne's estate, illuminating the wealth that had masked a viper's nest of deceit. Ilara leaned against him, her left arm cradled in a sling. The injury was a constant reminder of the night's violence, a stark contrast to the opulent surroundings. "He looks resigned," Ilara murmured, her voice strained. "Does he really think that's the end of it?" Jedediah grunted, scanning the perimeter. The man in hat was gone, swallowed by the vastness of the Arizona territory. "He's a shrewd man. He's already planning his next move. He believes he's above the law, and in a territory like this, he isn't entirely wrong." "Is he really?" Ilara's bow hung in the air, a subtle challenge to Jedediah's conviction. He didn't answer immediately. Thorne's carefully constructed world was crumbling, but Jedediah knew the tendrils of corruption reached far beyond the confines of Thorne's estate. He suspected that even from within the jailhouse walls, Thorne could still exert influence. "We're not done here, Ilara. Not by a long shot." He watched the wagon disappear down the dusty road, then turned his attention to the woods that bordered Thorne's property. The man in hat had vanished into those woods, a shadow disappearing into a deeper darkness. Jedediah knew that finding him would be like chasing a phantom, but he couldn't rest until he brought the shooter to justice. He had to ensure that Thorne's actions didn't inspire others to follow in his footsteps. "I'm going after him," Jedediah said, his voice low and resolute. Ilara's grip tightened on his arm. "Jedediah, please be careful. You can't take on the whole territory alone." He cupped her face in his hands, his gaze softening. "Someone has to." He paused, then added, "Stay here. Secure the house. See to Blackwood's arrangements." He mounted his horse, the leather creaking in the stillness of the afternoon. He looked back at Ilara, her face etched with worry. He knew he was riding into danger, but he couldn't ignore the sense of responsibility that weighed on him. He spurred his horse forward, the animal's hoofs pounding against the hard-packed earth as he entered the shadowed depths of the woods. The air grew cooler beneath the canopy of trees, the sunlight filtering through the leaves in dappled patterns. Jedediah scanned the ground, looking for any sign of the man in hat. He knew the shooter was skilled, capable of disappearing without a trace. He had to rely on his own instincts, his own determination, to track him down. He followed a faint trail of broken branches and disturbed undergrowth, signs that someone had passed through recently. The scent of gunpowder lingered in the air, a ghostly reminder of the night's violence. Jedediah knew the shooter was trying to throw him off the trail, but he wasn't fooled. He knew the man in hat was still out there, lurking in the shadows. The trail led him deeper into the woods, to a hidden ravine where a small stream trickled over smooth stones. Jedediah dismounted, leading his horse down into the ravine. He examined the ground carefully, looking for any sign of the shooter. He noticed something glinting in the sunlight. It was a silver button, intricately engraved with a stylized hawk. Jedediah recognized the crest. It belonged to the Blackwood family, a relic of a past Silas had desperately tried to bury. He picked up the button, turning it over in his hand. It was a piece of a larger puzzle, a clue that could lead him to the truth. Suddenly, he heard a twig snap behind him. He spun around, his hand instinctively reaching for his gun. A figure emerged from the shadows, a young Native American boy, no older than 10 years old. The boy looked at Jedediah with wide, frightened eyes. "He went that way," the boy whispered, pointing deeper into the woods. "He's with others." Jedediah's heart pounded in his chest. The man in hat wasn't working alone. He was part of something bigger, something more dangerous. "Who are they?" Jedediah asked, his voice low and urgent. The boy hesitated, then pointed towards a distant peak. "The Broken Ridge Riders. They serve Thorne, too." The Broken Ridge Riders were a notorious gang of outlaws who preyed on travelers and settlements along the border. If they were working with Thorne, it meant that the corruption ran even deeper than Jedediah had imagined. "Why are you telling me this?" Jedediah asked, wary. The boy looked down at his feet. "My father who was hurt. Are those men?" Jedediah's gaze softened. He knew what it was like to lose someone, to feel the sting of injustice. He couldn't ignore the boy's plea. "Take me to them," Jedediah said, his voice firm. The boy nodded, and led Jedediah deeper into the woods, towards the looming shadow of Broken Ridge. As they rode, Jedediah couldn't shake the feeling that he was walking into a trap, but he knew he had a responsibility to protect the innocent, even if it meant risking his own life. The silver button, the boy's testimony, the mention of the Broken Ridge Riders, all of it painted a picture of a conspiracy that extended far beyond the confines of Thorne's estate. It suggested a network of power and corruption that threatened the very foundation of the Arizona territory. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the landscape, Jedediah knew that his pursuit of justice had only just begun. He was riding into a storm, a maelstrom of violence and betrayal, and he had no idea what he would find. But one thing was certain: he wouldn't rest until he brought the truth to light, even if it meant facing the darkest corners of a human soul.